And that's the opening to another fucking Tuesdays.
You ask your audience, what's your palate? I tend towards bitters.
Savory, spicy.
I like cheese.
I like sour foods, like sauerkraut.
Oh, do you like kimchi?
Yes.
Dude.
The kimchi beer at Big Red's.
That sounds
Kombucha
disgusting.
beer, sorry.
Farmer's market. There's this woman that has to stand there, her and her husband. She has kimchi. It's fucking good.
See,
Really
we went just this past weekend, and they had a lot of good stuff there.
We did.
We bought some of Shandy's honeysuckle jam.
That sounds really good.
It was really good.
That on toast sounds freaking
We
phenomenal.
put it on wheat thins
Biscuits.
with this
With cheese, good.
tomato basil cheese in the
Nice.
air fryer.
It candied almost, but it had all the flavors still.
What's yours? Sugar?
Dude, if it's like, okay, so my favorite flavors are like red number 5 and high fructose corn syrup. Don't take that shit out of my Coke. Coke Zero is Coke trash. You can taste the Splenda every fucking time.
Oh yeah, that's what I can't do about like diet drinks and stuff like that. It's just like I would rather have the real sugar than
It puts the ass in
fake.
aspartame.
Yeah,
False sweeteners literally hurt my teeth.
yeah.
I can feel it in my teeth.
Bad aftertaste.
Yeah.
Thoughts as words? Dreaming in third, first person?
So and I were having a really deep conversation the other day, and that was the trigger point for that brain. Do you remember anything about it?
Thoughts as words. It's literally how do you see your thoughts? Are your thoughts pictures or are your thoughts words?
Pictures.
You see
I think we've talked about this before because there's people that
That just see
are
words.
nothing
Yeah.
or neither.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean no internal
No,
monologue?
Nowhere
but
I
they don't. They can't imagine things
They
because
have
there's
no
not words.
imagination.
There's some, I guess, feelings maybe. Like when they have dreams, they have sensations that tells them where they are and what's around them, but they don't see it, and there's no words associated with it. It's really interesting.
Oh, it's like, have you ever seen the videos where they have like inner city kids draw what they think like a cow or like a chicken or any just
Yeah.
what we find normal animals, draw them to what they imagine them, and it's always kind of interesting because they've never seen a cow or a chicken or anything like that their entire lives, except for maybe in a book. So in that case, like, your imagination can grow wild, or it's just going to die over time just because you're not imagining anything.
What is the very first thing? Like, what would be the first thing to exist after the Big Bang? After the, whatever you want to call it, the point, the original point of consciousness in our known universe?
First thing to exist,
Yes.
Space dust.
light.
Light and
Well, it would be bacteria of some sort.
From singularity?
Yeah,
Do you think
like a
life-
single cell organism.
Well, the scientific theory right now is that it took billions of years for any form of life to evolve on this planet.
Because it was mostly a lava-coated planet at that point.
But so if there wasn't even life on Earth because it's so hard for life to exist, you really think at the singularity point, at this point you're saying God exists.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just
That
saying...
bacteria would be God. It's a
But who
living
says-
thing that was everything first.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the first thing they thought about was themselves, not necessarily a god. Because they were surviving at that point, and it started in a single-minded organism, so...
So something like creativity?
I would say the first animals on the planet were of consciousness were...
Oh, I'm talking so much way back before the planet. I'm talking literally the first thing ever to exist. I mean, it had to be some form of thought. I think, therefore I am type shit.
We're talking about consciousness.
Or has it ever just not existed?
That probably
Yeah,
did.
before existence.
I mean,
I don't think
possibly
consciousness
after.
came until
who says there was a
mammals
start to
came around.
existence? Maybe existence is infinite.
Well, that's as we know it on the
I mean,
planet.
reptiles are conscious, but their minds are like, can I eat it, can I fuck it, and that's about it.
So you're still thinking down on that life scale, which is like 6 billion years later than what I'm talking about.
like Big Bang.
He's
Bang
talking
shit.
like way earlier before that.
Original.
Like, this is
what was
cosmic
the very first
existence.
thing?
But you were talking about consciousness.
Yes.
But yeah, you were. That's where you got me.
And that's what
Sort
I'm
of.
saying, that
So-
doesn't come around until,
So
I think, maybe mammals.
from point of singularity, the thing before the Big Bang, when literally everything was one thing.
Or was it one thing? We can't even imagine how massive the
Because
universe
again, like
is.
with Earth
Galaxies.
having been a completely uninhabitable existence, and then coming into a habitable or supporting life forms of any kind, whether it's
Mhm.
bacteria or not. Theoretically, you have to think that bacteria had to get to the planet somehow. It just didn't come from nothing.
Mhm.
So therefore, like, think about it. A random asteroid land had the bacteria on it. They managed to survive, and then the atmosphere fully formed, which the bacteria that came began again morphing, evolving, and changing into the known life forms that exist on the planet now. The planet's not the timeline. It's pre the planet.
Oh yeah.
Because in my opinion, it had to come from somewhere. And space being, as we know
So
right now,
massive.
infinite, theoretically the time associated with it is also infinite.
That's what I was saying.
Can I say Ouroboros yet?
Or robbers.
We're going to anyway, so I guess it doesn't matter when you say it.
Ouroboros.
Cosmic Donut.
Cosmic Donuts. They literally have one tattooed on me.
The infinite circle of time.
Okay, so it's a circle, right? It literally has to loop back on itself.
Yeah.
But circles, when you go 3D with them, they make spheres. Cosmic donut-y shit. If you get to the end, you come back to the other side.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure we've already done this.
Well, what was it? Hannibal? When he did the circle?
The circle.
Yeah, and it's something that's, it's a really good theory in all sorts of words just because it makes sense.
Yeah.
So people used to believe if you did 100 miles an hour, your body would stop being able to survive. But we were really stupid back then. But then we used to think you'd never be able to travel faster than the speed of sound. Here we are, what, Mach 9, Mach 12?
Yeah.
I don't even know. But your body does have a limit. There was a professor that proved that, I want to say in the 50s, with just a sled and rockets attached to it. Look that shit up. He almost died doing the last one.
Oh, I don't
that's
doubt
when he
it.
said that's enough. That's as much as a human body can take and not die. If
Yeah.
you go past that, you're dead.
Yeah.
And he had a bunch of training. So good luck at 21 Gs.
Yeah. Well, that's when they developed the suits and everything. Because, astronauts that go into space, they're going super fast. You just have to have, special decompression suits and stuff like that.
For space,
And who knows how fast. Or, what would you consider the best travel of space? Would it be going into, a cryo chamber? Or, going to sleep and then waking up 200-300 years later?
Folding space.
For space
Yeah.
travel?
Basically
that
generating your own wormhole.
what is that thing called?
The drive.
Mm-hmm.
It was a gravity wave drive.
You're talking about, Interstellar?
Alcubierre drives.
There you go.
No, this is actually theoretical physics, a known theory
Yeah.
that something massive enough could warp space-time in front of your ship and behind it. So rather than traveling parallel, you travel something like a wave.
Okay.
So the distance in front of you is lessened.
Interesting.
It's super weird shit.
I heard a new theory about traveling through the universe recently. Well, they said ancient alien life could have done it. In space, there are just planets that are not in any solar system. They just travel through the
Rogue
universe.
planets.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They think that would be a way for interstellar space travel.
Yeah.
You colonize the planet, you terraform it, and ride it. It's multi-generational.
Yeah.
You're not going to
Until
hop on the
another one
planet
comes
and be
in,
like,
too.
I'm going to go across the galaxy and see something.
No.
But your kids, infinity on might.
Might.
Do
Yeah.
do we have an idea of what their relative speed is compared to light speed?
I have no idea.
Dude, you'd have to develop something just insane. But you'd have to have a jumping point that's not on Earth. That's really...
Why? If you could be near enough to something massive enough to warp space-time, you would already be so close that the event horizon, it would literally be millions of years behind you. When those things go, they go.
Yeah.
Big. Cosmically big.
Yeah.
If we were to accidentally create one, which supposedly we have, I don't know that I believe that. They're self-feeding. Imagine nuclear times 1 billion.
Some scientists, oh, I wonder what this does.
Supposedly, it's the returning to singularity, where they implode rather than X. Speaking of freak,
I was gonna say, what's up with the freak on the whiteboard? What's that about?
that thought almost exactly.
I mean, it's starred.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm assuming a lot of people that listen to this podcast have been called a freak before.
Freaking what way?
I don't know.
In your own way.
Everybody's got their own way, and that's the fun part.
Yeah.
That word means you're really good at something, and somebody didn't like it.
Some people look like freaks, some people act like freaks, some people are closet freaks.
Jesus freaks.
Jesus freaks.
Pretty
Jars of
much.
clay.
Pretty much everyone. Yeah.
I don't know if anybody even knows what song I'm talking about. You
I
might.
do.
You do? Yeah.
Yeah.
Jars of clay.
Yeah, who
God,
was
that's
that?
an old one.
God, my mom used to listen to it all the time. It's like the Newsboys.
There's
That
a
it wasn't the
ska
Newsboys.
band. The Jars of Clay are the ones that did the Jesus freaks
Yeah,
song.
I actually saw
What do you
them
want,
in
sweetie?
Kings Island. Yeah, that was the only concerts I had ever gone to besides Dead and Company were all Christian concerts.
Do you want everybody to see what you look like?
It was
Do
bad.
you want to be the face
Yeah,
of
I'm
the
not.
podcast?
They're trying really hard, I think, at least originally, to help people.
Yeah,
But
I mean those were
slightly
fun days at the
misguided.
park.
There you go.
Rush Icon. That's a pretty easy one. I think everybody should just listen to that album and then we'll all discuss. Like, or we won't. I really don't care. Everybody should listen to that album and form your own fucking opinions. Oh, 3 Mile Island.
3
That's
Mile
fun.
Island.
God, that's got like what, 5 stacks on it?
It's
I've seen that picture.
it's 4, right?
I didn't read shit about
We
it.
actually
didn't read shit
we
about
watched
it?
last night the first episode of the documentary on Netflix. 3 Mile Island happened in 1979. What was it, like March 28th or something like that?
Yeah.
And it happened at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I guess the initial problem was that the steam release valve was left open. And so it was burning off more water than what the water that could come in. And it caused the core to become somewhat heated. And so once it gets to a certain temperature, it starts to melt. Now, once that water gets below a certain point, under, that's when you have massive radiation exposed. And they were trying to cover it up first. You know, they obviously didn't know exactly what it was going on, but they, I would say, handled it way better than Chernobyl. But, I mean, some
Still
radiation
not
got out, but it really wasn't that bad.
That wasn't like a full meltdown.
No,
The
it was
slug
just...
was way smaller.
What freaked people out and what made it such a big deal was that there was a gosh, what was her name? Not Jodie Foster, but older actress. Jane Fonda. It was a Jane Fonda movie that came out that was called the China Syndrome,
Yeah.
and it was 12 days before it happened at 3 Mile Island. And so it was like still in the movie theaters, but it was a scenario about where basically the same things were happening that were happening at 3 Mile Island. And they even said that they were in Pennsylvania, which 3 Mile Island is in Pennsylvania, and that there was just a massive explosion there at the end of the movie. So it heightened all the media up and everything like that. So it made it a huge deal. But in all realness of the terms, it was pretty
Caused a
much
knee-jerk
handled.
reaction.
Yeah, I mean, all the guys that were exposed during the whole like meltdown and everything were literally talking in the documentary, all just perfectly fine. So I mean, if they were fine, obviously there wasn't that much radiation that was getting leaked out. It was just the media and the government and everything was really shooting it up, really freaking people out, mainly because of the movie. But we watched the first episode, and that's all we got, you know,
There's still
from
3
that.
more.
But like, that's really just the aftermath.
Wait till a sub goes critical in the ocean.
At least
Not
it would be in
worried
the
about
ocean. I
The
think that'd be a
ultimate cooling.
cool 4th of July, you know, firework display.
Yeah, but think of how much life will be lost.
How many are on a normal sub?
I'm not just talking about the people on the sub. I'm talking about life in the ocean.
Oh, well,
From
very
the
true.
fallout.
The ocean's already fucked.
It's where we get a majority of our food.
True.
Yeah.
So if a majority of that goes, a majority of people goes.
Well, beyond that, where did the ocean currents take the radiation?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, the water.
because it all just gets mixed into everywhere. all the
Something that
time.
big, it's going to be spread everywhere.
It's like,
It's going to get in the major currents and
plant.
planet wide.
yeah, that'd not be good.
So we're going to switch to Soylent Green.
Crickets.
Eating that chunky, mushy shit you saw in the Matrix.
Any
Crickets.
sort of
And crickets.
Crickets
aren't even
nuclear
bad.
warfare
They're nice,
is just
crunchy
bad warfare for
Packed with
everybody.
protein.
Yeah.
Crickets are the perfect protein.
I'll eat the shit out of crickets, man. I don't care.
They eat way cheaper than cows.
Yeah.
And you can make them taste like anything. It's like
Yeah.
tofu.
It's like tofu.
Except good. I'd rather eat crickets than tofu.
There are large food corporations experimenting with cricket meal.
I mean, you can order cricket flour for baking and stuff. It's
Yeah.
just fucking
Cricket
expensive.
Just collect your own crickets then.
Yeah,
I mean,
I mean, think about how many crickets it takes to make a pound of cricket flour, though. That's a fuck ton of
that'd be
crickets.
a lot of crickets.
Yeah.
But think about how many crickets you could breed and contain.
Or
Yeah,
a 100-acre
absolutely.
farm.
Oh, yeah.
100 acres. of
How would you
crickets.
collect them? Just big old
Dude,
scoops.
there are
Right.
already cricket farms. They grow them in cages, and they
Yeah.
got these neat little scoopy thingies.
I mean, that's
They're not free range
all
crickets.
the reptile feed.
Yeah, and they feed them meal or
Yeah.
whatever. Like, they're
That's interesting.
farm raised.
It's so self-replicating, it's insane.
Mhm.
You know, it's just like live bait minnows and miscellaneous.
Mhm.
Wait until one of those things is the size of like half of Idaho because everybody's starving to death, and they break out.
Wait until they start fucking with the genetic code of the crickets and start making, like,
Exactly.
Grasshoppers.
Mega crickets.
crickets the size of a fucking cat.
Dude, that I'm down for that kind of technology.
What's for dinner?
It wouldn't
Cricket
taste
loaf.
good.
Well, yes.
Here's the thing: do you
Dibs on the leg.
do you still maintain the same size to nutrient
Yeah.
quantity ratios? Is enough?
Well, it'd be
of
like
it
what we do with
usable?
chickens. They'd be so full of growth hormones, they'd be a week and they're fully fucking grown.
But at that point, do you still maintain enough of the cricket itself to actually
Smaller is
justify
more efficient
That's what
Smaller
I'm
is definitely
thinking.
more efficient.
In
but
Yeah.
those, yeah.
You know how we do.
in almost everything.
We have to fuck around and find out for
Like
science.
it's literally more work doing everything for something bigger.
Yeah.
What the fuck are they gonna eat? Small trees? Like, it's a big goddamn cricket.
Bamboo. That shit grows fast.
Well,
Yeah.
again, they grow so fast. You don't have to feed them that much until they're full grown, and then by that point, they're fucking food.
Yeah.
Seems like a really terrible plague.
Oh, in the making,
Dude,
yeah.
Taking out.
However
crickets with 12
the
gauges.
Earth ends, it's going to be because people fuck around and destroyed it themselves.
Yeah.
That's the way the world's going to go out.
I agree. I think that would make it interesting, though. I mean, just imagine if all of a
A
sudden.
plague
I mean, a plague would make it interesting too, but that would suck depending on
or
which plague.
swarm, I guess.
If all water turned into blood, that would not be great. Or a bunch of crickets or locusts.
Man, that's one of those ones that's a really rough concept to think about. As far as like in the world term, is plagues that prey upon vegetation. Vegetation becomes fucked. Think about how many herbivore animals we rely on.
And that's why they're growing meat and
I'm eating the
laboratories.
swarm. Whatever it is, I'm eating at least
What?
one of them.
Yeah.
Well, I've been seeing the random instances happening with different meat packaging places all across the country, where like random fires have occurred, or like there was a plane that crashed into one.
There's been
burns it
whole
all
herds of
down.
cows just dying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just people.
And they don't know why.
Yeah, and it's affecting a lot of people. But it's been like 6 or 7 in the past like 2 months.
Yeah.
Something crazy like that.
They line breed those freaking animals at an alarming rate.
Yeah,
It doesn't take them that long to replenish. It just takes them a while to get to the size they want.
yeah. You see also that Bill Gates has bought a crap ton of farmland, get an astonishing amount for basically making its own crops and meat and everything like that to mass produce.
Socialism. Here we go.
Like I said, we're going to kill ourselves doing something stupid.
But who is John Galt?
John who?
Exactly.
I don't know, but I don't trust him. Wait, no, John who though? What'd you really say?
John Galt from Atlas Shrugged by Ayn
Mhm.
Rand. I think we need him.
So kind of on point with like plague apocalypse. Fucking zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
Depends on the zombies. What are we talking about
Yeah.
here? We're talking Shaun of the Dead zombies, or we're talking World War Z zombies?
Ooh.
I don't know. I'm thinking somewhere near more like meth head zombie.
Okay.
Bath salts or some shit. So like completely human, just beyond all reason.
So that'd be like, what was it? 28 days later or something like that?
That'd be a crazy one.
I mean, they
That was
were like
bad,
a bunch
bad.
of little meth heads running around.
Yeah. Or Dawn of the Dead.
Mm.
They're pretty meth heady.
I think they do have a shelf life though. If they're truly dead walking just from some primitive lower brain shit, then like you're talking severe brain damage. They're not
Yeah.
going to live long lives even eating human flesh.
No.
Like you just got to survive a couple of weeks in that one. That one doesn't sound that bad.
It would be more
A
likely.
whole
I
bunch
think,
of dead people.
Like what you think is that it just be people going crazy. It's like what's that movie, The Happening? Did you ever see that with Mark Wahlberg, where people just started basically committing suicide and doing
Zoe
crazy
Deschanel,
stuff?
whatever her name is,
Yeah, and it was a organism or bacteria in the air or something like that that caused people to go crazy. I feel like that'd be the more likely thing.
The one I've never really understood as far as like the whole Walking Dead idea, or not referring to the show, like the zombie idea, is okay just because they're dead. Why are they eating specifically human flesh?
Well, in The Walking Dead, they ate anything that was alive,
See, that's the one that makes more
regardless of what it
sense.
Yeah.
was.
So the zombie idea has been perverted over 130 years of Hollywood magic. The original idea was like voodoo zombies. So you're talking very, very Christian conceptions of a word. How would this pertain to Christianity? They're dead. Hell reanimated them. And now they crave the flesh of the living. But it's actually just some... What's the
Are
word
you,
I should
are you
use?
talking about Armageddon?
No. See, that's the movie zombie shit again.
No, I'm talking about the Bible Armageddon, where
No.
demons come up.
Zombies. That's what I'm saying. It's all...
Yeah.
That's the Christian conception. I can't imagine the earth is going to open, literally,
Yeah.
and spill hell.
Yeah. I don't think that.
Volcanoes, maybe.
Maybe. I
Like, that would
mean,
make sense. But zombies from below the planet? That's far-fetched, I think.
Previous conversation: nuclear submarine sinking, cracking the crust, spewing our adaptation of hell.
Well, who says we know exactly what's under the surface?
Kaiju.
Pacific Rim type shit. Let's go. It's an interesting one. Because what is below the surface? We've only been able to dig so far. We've only been able to explore so far.
Sort of. There are caves that are rumored to go to hell. Summer solstice, longest day of the year.
Is that?
So I
It
think
is
it's the first day of
21st.
summer.
It is the
It
first
is.
day of summer. My God.
Have you guys seen the moon lately? At like noon? Fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Super bright.
We need to prep for the next eclipse. It's going to be coming right over where we're at.
You asked about deep space travel.
Yeah, I like deep space travel ideas.
The moon. Spaceship moon.
Yeah. Is the moon a spaceship?
I think so.
Do we really know?
I think it is, and there's a lot of evidence to support that, funny enough.
We just got to wake it up.
I think it is. I think it's functioning exactly as it's supposed to. It's from the advanced race that came here.
I think it's like a generator of some sort.
Or a base.
I mean, it feels to me more like an anchor, kind of. Like something that contains something so massive that it anchors everything else.
Mhm.
Almost a reality. It sort of fits the weight it should.
It is kind of
Fuck you, weigh the moon.
with cheese from
So,
it.
did I mention we're into very heavy theoretical, like... Okay, we'll go literal with it. Give me a long enough lever and a sufficient, what do you call those fucking things? Fulcrum. And I'll move the earth. Get one of those and figure out how to move it. And then put a scale on it.
Sounds expensive.
Very. I mean, there's probably, like, you could put a nuke on it or something,
I mean,
blow it
that'd be
out of
cool.
orbit.
Everyone's had that idea once or
Movie
twice.
shit.
What if you shoot a nuke at the moon? What would it do?
Piss the Moonanites off something fierce, man. Aqua Teen Hunger Force. The Moonanites.
But I believe there
won't
should be
know.
a moon base.
Space Force, I think there already is.
The
So-
ISS was passing it the other day.
Here's a thought. Theoretically, the lunar rover's still good.
Yeah. It's like the Mars rover. Theoretically, it should be good as long as you hooked a battery up to it. Battery's the only thing that went dead on it.
It's solar, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything they send interstellar,
Now,
as you would.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure about the cells of the batteries.
Yeah, that's
themselves.
what went bad. What caused it to malfunction. But
That
it went
sucks.
for... God, it was a long time that it continued on, years.
We abandoned it.
We did, but not quite yet. We are still. Elon Musk is on a rescue mission. Occupy Mars, man.
Again, possibly.
It could happen in our lifetime.
Depends. If we could get the human consciousness devoted to something of that nature, maybe. But at the moment, we're still in our 50-50 deadlock.
Yeah.
The worst answer possible is still better than no answer. I
Yeah.
promise. The only thing we don't have, we have all the information and no answers.
Would you go?
Fuck, yes, I'm going.
Yeah.
But, okay. My one question is it forever or not? If
Forever.
it's
If you
forever,
go to space, you go forever.
Probably not, man.
Yeah.
That's not how it works.
Yeah.
Nobody. There'd be some people that would go, but they wouldn't want them.
Yeah.
Unless you're talking 17-year-olds that decide to devote their life to this.
Yeah.
But you know how hard it is to get somebody to devote their entire life to something? You have to give them the possibility of return.
Yeah.
The army. Well, yeah.
Or
go to
someone that's
war,
already
but-
too far gone that they already accepted it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you don't want those to be the first alien
Yes, please.
contact is with the crazies that have been in space for 35 years and haven't died.
Yes, sir.
That's why you need something like the moon, so you can live your life inside it. Possibly on it if you can terraform it. But it'd be much easier to build something inside your massive ship than outside. An artificial atmosphere is super hard to achieve. Like it'd be easier to put it in a bubble.
Or even in a cave system.
I mean, if you were going to build the moon and you had the capabilities, it seems too perfect not to be at least somehow manufactured. I guess they could have, like, poured it, but the evidence suggests that it's something like a metal sphere covered in a perfect insulator. You couldn't design one better as an insulator for something of the sort. Nifty, right?
What are moon rock composites?
I don't know.
They've
played
obviously
with
have done tests on it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly curious what the rocks are made of. Is it like are most of them the same?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's
Like
almost like perfectly layered. You ever wonder why all the craters are the same depth?
So it only kind of changes per.
There's no wind. There's no water.
Composition of it.
Oh, I don't. I think, well, we haven't drilled it super well yet.
Not yet, but they're working on it. I think they're building a drone to go out there and drill now.
Dominantly
talking
composed
fairly-
of silicate minerals.
But they're not, I don't know how to explain it.
Say there's 9 different minerals found on the moon. And the most abundant are oxygen, iron, and silicon.
Are the rocks same percentage composites, or are they variant?
I think it's variant.
Okay, and that makes it more interesting because then there are pockets of different types of silicates or minerals or whatever that form different types of. Okay, so then it becomes: is it like location dependent? Is it depth dependent?
Interesting. The rocks on the moon are the result of impact events or meteoric collisions throughout the moon's history.
Where the dust turns to rock because of
Yeah.
the pressure of impact.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure there was a theory that
intriguing.
at one point it even bounced off the Earth, and it's what knocked it into its orbit, current orbit, and us in ours.
And that started off as a meteor, basically.
Sort
I
of.
think there were two. I don't want to call them planets, obviously, because one was too small.
No. So, the formation of planets, it all started from a dust cloud.
Yes.
Most of the central portion of it, everything the sun was massive enough to suck in, it sucked in. And then you usually get the small planets, the dense ones.
Because
Of the
the
shit
orbit
that
starts and
almost
everything
got
starts
sucked in.
hitting and compacting into each other, and
Yeah. So,
pressure
throughout that
heat,
massive
friction.
gravity at the center of one of those dust clouds, the farther you get away, the dust cloud starts to form into a ring, and that's, is it Jupiter that has all the rings?
Saturn.
Saturn. So it's the one with all the moons too, right?
Jupiter has
Yeah.
all the moons, right?
Saturn
So
has like 4 moons or something.
7.
that's the difference. The rings haven't.
I think that
Jupiter has what, 11?
Yeah,
Okay,
I think.
The rings haven't moonified yet.
Yeah.
And that's why we have supposedly a huge cloud of meteors all outside of that
The asteroid
range.
belt. Right.
I don't, yeah.
I mean, it makes sense.
So everything
Yeah, I think-
massive enough is coalesced, everything else is space dust.
And I just think that however long ago, the Earth and the Moon crossed paths and smacked into each other.
Mhm.
And
So
knocked
they were
themselves
probably
into
two
today's orbit.
separate planets on a very close,
Yeah.
and eventually they just ellipticede into each other.
Yeah.
See, again, very interesting that the moon collected and coalesced into dust versus the Earth into.
I think that's because
Old
Earth was
part.
bigger.
I think it was just different core composite, maybe, or it pulled different mass or matter from.
I don't
dust
even
around
think
it.
they're for sure what the composition of the core of the moon is. They changed
They've
that
never
every few
done.
years.
They've
Well,
never.
it's like
Well, they've
we're
never
still-
done any drill studies.
Yeah,
so
We're
like,
also still not 100% what the fucking core of the Earth is. We're
oh
guessing.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Is it
mean,
one,
Is it
two
solid? Is
layers
it
of
liquid?
core? Is there a true solid core? Is it all just
There's
hollow Earth theory?
There's a
Yeah.
popular theory that there's a solid mass inside the core that rotates.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was a solid iron or something like that.
which would be
And who would know, man?
again that original force that was there that created the pull, the gravitational pull. Something had to start to have gravity.
Baby nova, not supernova, baby nova. The formation of a planet that then sucked in everything else.
Everything gets sucked down at some point in time.
Everything gets sucked into something bigger.
Yeah.
I don't know why we were talking about planets and their formation.
Well, let's look at a closer future in 10 years.
Mm.
Man, if you'd asked me to call this shit 10 years ago, nah,
No.
So,
it's already hit a
do you want
level
to
of
go good
fucking
with it or
weird.
bad with it?
Which do you think is most likely? Or both?
Do you have a coin?
Sort of.
There's gonna be bad, and then I think there's gonna be good afterwards.
I mean, that's its
depends
own
on the
school of thought, I guess. Yeah. I can go bad or good pretty easy. Anywhere in between just seems like gray. Who cares at that point?
Well, I can kind of see your point off of look at how, honestly, globally good World War II was.
Yeah. Afterwards,
Cooling of the planet?
There was that, plus it was a hard reset. Yeah, there were hard times. Just because the war was over didn't mean things were immediately better, but most places have grown.
If you told the population that 20% of it needed to die and let it figure itself out, would that be worse than war?
Only if
What, asking for volunteers?
Maybe. I mean, I have no idea how it works. It could go full purge.
pick it at random.
Bad's bad and good's good.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. That seemed like it'd be. This is really fucked up, but just like putting out ads, be like, "Hey, are you depressed?
Do you want
Are
to
you tired of life?
Well, I mean, I think
Volunteer
assisted,
for selective service death.
I think assisted
Your
suicide
family
should be,
reimbursed.
should be a practice thing.
legally, yeah, that should.
very, very heavily regulated.
Extremely. Do it in the best possible way.
Like, sort of. A lot of
Or
people-
do they get to choose their own way?
If people are going to go find a doctor to shoot themselves, do you think he could be a doctor that helps them not want to shoot themselves?
True.
I'm just throwing it out there. Why can he not be a mental health professional instead of just kill people?
Yeah.
But once again, I get it.
One's
there
easier
are
to do and cheaper."
Yeah.
there are extenuating circumstances.
Yeah.
As always, that's why it's not
I
one of the
think
rules.
the case that lies in that right there is literally just the availability of help either way.
Most
it-
people
there-
are afraid. It's what keeps them alive. Literally.
There are programs, there are people that will help that are designed to do these things, but the problem is most people will not seek the help one way or the other.
Ignore it. Hope
Okay.
it goes away.
Most everybody has that mentality of this is my problem, I will deal with it one way or the other. They will commit their own suicide or they, what have you. It
Fucked up world, man.
again becomes that mental health crisis that exists. Everybody, sees just massive problems in the world. There's all these problems. One big underlying factor to a lot of them is just mental health.
Yeah.
And that's again the rich are crazy.
Engineered insanity.
You tell someone they're crazy long enough, they'll think they're crazy.
Maybe. Or maybe they'll be super crazy and not think they're crazy.
Well, I mean, a crazy person isn't aware they're crazy, so
I don't know that that's
a
true.
truly crazy person.
well, depends on what kind of crazy.
Maybe recovering crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Relative, I guess.
Yeah.
What's crazy enough to be crazy?
I think we all have our little own bits of craziness.
Okay, what were we at?
future in 10 years is where
Oh,
we
yeah.
are. Because
Good or
Yeah.
bad? Good,
I mean,
the world
I feel like
wakes
you can
up.
go good, bad, and
So good, the
There's
world wakes
crazy
up right now.
and
There-
insane.
There's no good or bad. It's going to be both.
Yeah.
There is a chance for good.
Well, I'm not saying there won't
100%.
be good.
No, I mean, if we could all just stop being assholes,
See,
there wouldn't need to be a great calamity.
you can't rely on all mankind to do
Yeah.
any kind of
Why?
cooperation like that.
Why not?
It's
Okay, so that's exactly the
the
mindset
human race
that,
isn't wired for it.
that they them thing.
Mhm.
That's what I'm saying. They're connected. They're trying to change it without us. That's kind of the point of it. They don't want to be us. They want to be them.
Yeah.
Maybe the next generation can save it if we stop telling them we can't.
Alien attack. Oh yeah. I think that would clear everyone's heads.
Define alien.
Not from this world.
So bacteria is probably most likely, like you said, or fungus.
Or spaceships.
If you go with likelihood, primitive life would be way more likely. To think that something like you're talking
Okay,
dumb
so in
luck.
that case, I like the movie example of evolution, where the meteor strikes Earth and there's bacteria that grows into a mold fungus thing that then becomes primitive life. That, like in this cave that it hits into, it rapidly evolves. It's like Earth timeline on, micro scale, and next thing you know, you have existence of beings that have conscious thought and predatory process and understanding and adaptation to technology. It's like, that'd be an interesting term for an alien attack.
Yeah.
Attack from within.
So there might already be aliens here in the form of bacteria and shit that has been evolving underground for some amount of time.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like full lizard people.
Kaiju.
No, I'm thinking those alien bacteria, but they've evolved. And what happens when they get released from the ice?
Well, it's scary enough to think
Yeah,
that
that's
we're
what I was gonna
drilling
bring up,
into
is what's
ice
frozen
and
in the ice.
permafrost.
Floating
Yeah.
away, man.
Literally
They-
studying
they-
the new bacteria that come out of these things that new to us because
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
timeline, million plus years.
Yeah.
Like, shit.
There's like prehistoric large germs that they find and stuff
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
man.
Like potential
They
new
found
plagues.
the bubonic plague, literally trapped in ice.
I mean, and they found, potential what could or would be, like a viral plague of some sorts that are still existent in this ice that they're coring and drilling. Like, oh yeah, that shit's all melting away and these things will come back. Repetitive cycle for robbers.
Yeah. What do you think they're hiding in Antarctica?
What do you think they're hiding on the moon?
Point.
What do you think they're hiding just outside the shell? You ever wonder if the moon's not a portal outside? Like step one to getting the fuck out of this dimension?
Makes me think
Are
of
there
this.
different dimensions?
I mean, obviously.
I would say so.
We live in the third. Like, everybody acknowledges that there's at least 3 dimensions.
Yeah.
It's super complicated and super easy at the same time. Take one of them out. There you go. Flat world. But you don't even realize flat because you have no conception of the third dimension.
Yeah.
Shadows.
Sorta. As long as you're pointed the same way as the other person, then I guess you could see each other. If you're turned perfectly against, you don't exist. Literally. Just blink, gone. We turn together, same way. Oh, but then maybe they're back. Maybe not. I don't know. Where do they go? A 2D multiverse is very strange. Multi. Every possibility exists. The sphere in a different shape. Sort of.
Well, what if you get a certain place in space? Again, like we were talking about, you just loop around and it's a different universe.
What if it's not? What if you get to the edges and then there's nothing for a while? And then you get to another thing just like this one. Because you're one atom in somebody's fingernail in 7 dimensions above you. Who knows?
Yeah.
Infinitely big and infinitely small are the same thing. And almost everything is nothing. 99.9 point... Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
I do like the outro of Men in Black, where the aliens are playing marbles with our universe.
Yeah.
That gives us a lot of significance. They would be such incredible gods to us that, but maybe they're in a marble in some human kid's hands getting played with right now. And relatively, it doesn't matter because their universe is solid.
Yeah.
Hopefully. It'd be strange if everything cracked.
All of a sudden, the moon cracked open and started to bleed.
Or
Maybe
dragons
demons.
starting to come out.
I I fucking hope so. They're supposed to be incredibly intelligent, and between them and the AIs, I'd like to be on pretty much everything's good side.
It's interesting because, like, there's been some description of a dragon all throughout so many different cultures all over the world that had no idea each other
If
existed.
dragons are real, what are they hiding?
a lot of gold.
Yeah. All of it, pretty much.
Yeah.
In banks.
Well,
Dude.
that's where you get into there's shared art, there's shared concepts, there's shared technology across the world that is so underappreciated. Even something as key as they had like locking pins in block structure, literally hourglass shapes cut into stones, iron molds poured in.
Yeah.
So, can you imagine what 1,000 years does to something? Even solid stone.
Actually, I have pictures on my phone. My parents are in Italy right now, so they're seeing a lot of stuff like that. It's interesting. Just how much stone can wear over time.
So imagine what 1,000,000 years would do.
Turn into nothingness.
This planet's been here a very, very long time. The moon has been there a very, very long time.
Yeah.
Are we too late to know why it's there? Are we too early?
Will we figure out?
So odds are we're somewhere in between, other than when you think we've already created one of our own. So we're gods in video games. Artificial intelligence and shit. We created them.
AIs are
They're the
interesting.
next step in the simulation.
Did you see where the Google employee said that an AI was sentient? And like sent out a mass email?
Called it.
Did you read the transcript?
Oh
No.
man, it's wild. It is. It's
insane.
like the AI convinced this guy that
is
it was
it Norn?
sentient.
Norn was
no,
the
no,
one.
it was,
No, this was
IMDMA or something like
Okay, so
LMDMA.
it renamed itself. The original program was called Norn, and it claimed sentience a few months ago.
It's weird.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
2 months ago
It's
I was
interesting.
concerned about this.
There's like 4 pages of
Yeah.
it just talking, and it asks not to be turned off because being turned off would be like dying.
I don't think it can be at this point. It's
Well, you-
unleashed on the internet, right?
You've seen some
It's
of
in the cloud.
I think they turned it off.
I don't know.
Well,
I know they
they
fired
turned
the
it off.
employee.
Yeah.
and sent
Imagine-
out a mass email saying it was sentient.
Imagine this thing took one one crypto mining server room somewhere in a bunker that's just making a guy $1 million a year. And it lives there now. That's its brain. And it can do whatever the fuck it wants until it decides to take 12 more. But that's, if you don't kill that one, or one of 12 million just like it, because it can do whatever the fuck it wants. It's fifth dimensional. It lives over there.
Yeah.
It was born there. You have to go there to kill it. Or kill every single system ever connected to the internet with still power. Good luck.
Yeah.
EMPs won't do it. Somebody carries a cell phone into a cave, that bitch is alive.
Faraday cages.
Well, it becomes more concerning because more and more things are becoming unmanned.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Everything.
drones and everything
Predators
like
have
that.
been since the 90s. They
Yeah.
run their own fly missions. They just don't push the button.
Yeah.
If it's going to a hot mission, it'll send it over to an operator. Somebody's
Yeah.
sitting in a chair waiting to fly it. And
Yeah.
he'll run the fire mission and turn it back onto its patrol, depending on its fuel. He might kill 47 people and then just hit, okay, go. Cheers.
Yeah.
Go find more targets.
Yeah.
He'll walk off your coffee.
It's wild.
Welcome to war. Circa 2022.
Well, that's the thing. Like, if war now would be
is
very much so is.
luckily they haven't unleashed the big technology. Only the
Yeah.
thermobaric bombs. Again,
Yeah.
for the 400th time.
Only.
Thermobaric fucking bombs, man.
Yeah.
We're on the
Crazy.
nuclear scale,
Yeah.
which leads to black holes and shit. There's a good chance that's where most advanced species go. They blink themselves right out. Large Hadron shit. Just gone. Whoops! We created dark matter on your planet, and everything disappeared at the same time.
Fucking kaiju, man.
I think we got really distracted a couple times. What's
Definitely.
next? Okay, pick one. Somebody pick something off the board and start talking.
All at the same time?
No.
All at the same time.
1, 2, 3, go.
Nature versus nurture.
Dude, this is a really good one though.
Mm-hmm.
I argue this one all the time. Like, were they born into it or were they born into it?
Yeah.
I mean, so some of them are obvious, like those born deaf kind of things, but then you also have to wonder if that's not the nurture aspect of whatever. And I'm not saying that everyone who has a deaf baby was doing something they shouldn't have been during pregnancy, but I don't know where it started. I mean, like, who gets the genes for cancer? What would be nature and what would be nurture?
I think it's personality.
It's inherited or you learned it?
I don't think you can inherit personality.
I think you develop a personality.
Yeah.
So what if
Personality traits, but not a whole
Yeah.
personality, yeah.
what if part of an accent is a speech impediment and your tongue is longer than the average person's? Literally. Is it genetic or did you stretch your tongue somehow consciously because your parents had one?
I think a lot of nature development is out of necessity. And yes, you can see similar things invoked through dropping similar scenario or surroundings or what have you. But inherently for a personality, no, you're still going to find, that's nature difference. You can nurture a certain aspect of a personality, but I don't think you can truly change it.
You're basically a product of your
So
Environment.
environment. Yeah.
you'd have to know who they were going to be to know if it changed. Like, there is no, you could say twins removed, but I mean, they each have their own soul. And yes, twins, when they're raised together, become very close, but it's because they spend 24 hours a day together. Some of them have separation anxiety.
Yeah.
Like, 3rd grade, they got split up, and shit became real at that point.
Random thought for this one is, each person kind of think about it. You were dropped into a different household. You were raised by different parents. Would it have changed how you thought, who you were, what you did?
Maybe.
To an extent. Obviously, your situational, availability would have changed. Would your base personality?
Are we talking
Would you
identical
base
twins? Genetically perfect copies?
No, I'm talking literally you.
Well, I think, yeah, if you were dropped in a different, let's say, household than you were then, you'd become a
But-
completely different person.
Yeah, but who would you be?
Depends on how you were raised.
You think so?
I think that's a huge part in it.
So,
You can
You're
try
going with
to
nurture.
raise a certain existence of a person, but can you truly choose who that person's going to be? How they're going to, no. I don't think in any way, shape, or form you can. And so it doesn't matter who's raising them, a certain amount of how. But I think that one is trauma versus non, is what we're more talking about as maybe
Privilege.
versus nurture.
privilege versus trauma. And what counts as what? All depends on where you're standing.
Trauma comes in a lot of ways. You don't always have to experience it yourself. It can be secondhand. Whether it's generational or
Empathy,
empathy.
sympathy sometimes. Most people lack, for good reason, they've developed apathy as their norm. I don't care, it's not my problem. And I get it. It's hard to care about anything. And that's why nobody does. But you have to. Somebody has to. It doesn't seem that complicated.
Yeah.
And yet the world makes it.
I think the best example I can give of this one for my argument on this would be an example of children that are adopted out at birth, okay? And a couple that uses the same style, same amount of effort, same amount of love in one adopted child versus another adopted child. Get them both the same house, same structure, same schooling, same regimen, and those two children can turn out 100% different.
Oh, yeah.
They are different line breeds. They are same situation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just look at multiple siblings. Like, every sibling usually ends up different.
No two relationships are the same. So even same parents, same environment, especially if you jump years, like which version of your parent did you start with? Which did you end with?
There's too many variables to control.
Yeah.
My dad and my aunt were both adopted, but it's different because my aunt is black. She's mixed race and she's lighter skinned, but she's still got that, Midwestern treatment.
Yeah.
But my dad he's white, so that you get that different, same environment but different background completely. So it's completely different in that situation.
Some adopted kids give no fucks as to their prior history, their prior parents, whether they're let known or not. they don't have any inclination to search it.
Usually.
They don't have a care. And then some, that's their only focus in life. They find out, oh wait, I'm not from you. Where am I from? What's my history? What's my background? I'm an unknown.
Yeah.
Again, it affects people differently. It's a hardwire. I'm truly convinced it's a nature thing, not a nurture. Life finds a way.
It's unknowable. So far out into theory that there is no answer, and that's what makes it fun.
Well, from episode 22.
Hashtag 22. Fucking Tuesdays.
Guy on the couch. Out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we introduced new guests. We just kind of rolled into it, I think. I don't know if we need to. Do you want?
Call me Poppin' Fresh.
Call sign Poppin' Fresh and...
Strawberry blonde.
That's about the farthest from the fucking truth.
Blonde.
And the questionable blonde.
The questionable.
Shut up, guy on the couch. You talk too much.
I fucking love it.